This portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Finally, the money is in the bank, and Minister of Housing and Environment Kenner Dorset said the government's $60 million national housing plan should soon be underway.
And as Jiminita Swain tells us tonight, more than 100 homes will be built throughout the capital and in the Family Islands.
The Minister of Housing says the money is in the bank and the plan is to move full steam ahead with government's housing program. Mr. Dorset said construction could begin as early as the end of the month. Last June, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Department of Housing and the National Insurance Board to build more than 100 homes in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and San Salvador.
I got the first tranche of funding, and so plans are now have been submitted to the Ministry of Works. We have new housing designs, and so we're getting those approved so we can get the permits to begin construction. They're already moving into certain subdivisions. They're supposed to begin clearing certain areas to begin that process. I've seen a few homes that I know that we approved last year. The foundations have been laid and poured and strawns, but now we're going to move through in those subdivisions and build them out. So I would say in the next few weeks, construction will begin.
The minister pointed out that at least one of the proposed subdivisions in Jamaica will be designed to accommodate homes that are more energy efficient but remain in the low-cost housing price bracket. With these construction projects now moving forward, a number of jobs will also be created.
Our rule of thumb is that at least between 10 to 15 jobs are created for every home that we construct, and so for us, we intend to build about 130 homes, and so clearly, over 1,000 jobs ought to be created with this funding that we have gotten from the National Insurance Board. But it is our intention to also seek other avenues of funding to make sure that the program is robust.
The minister said it's also key to get other stakeholders involved through public-private sector partnership.
We're looking to engage the private sector to assist us in meeting the housing demands and needs of our country, and so hopefully that will lead to a very robust housing program for us in 2014 and beyond.
Minister Dorset says during this first phase, construction will commence here in the capital and in Grand Bahama. Jiminita Swain, ZNS Network News.
Minister of Financial Services Ryan Pinder said the country is at risk because it's not attained membership in the World Trade Organization. Mr. Pinder explained that the country was involved in a trade agreement with Canada called Carib-Can or CARICOM in Canada. However, that agreement has expired. The challenge created, he said, was that it's put trade between the two countries at an uncomfortable position, but he said a temporary agreement has been reached.
The Bahamas would not have those preferences, and we would have had to experience much higher duty rates, jeopardizing crawfish industry that imports into Canada, Borco, which imports a significant amount of oil, Morton Salt, which imports a significant amount of salt into Canada, and all these industries would have been jeopardized due to the expiration of that and us not being WTO members. We were able to unilaterally contact Canada and get an agreement to stand still the duty rate to preserve our industry and exports to Canada, which was a tremendous achievement pending completion of that trade agreement. So that's just an example of how WTO membership is important.
However, the minister says with the recent European trade agreement signed, the avenues for global trade have opened up.
Looks like due to our success in implementing the EPA, which is a trade agreement with Europe, that the Europeans are ready or prepared to sign off on our WTO accession bilateral, our agreement with them, because we've implemented the EPA. So that's good news. But we continue to do our consultations. We're finalizing what's called our factual summary, which is the overall kind of valuation of the economic affairs of the country, how things are regulated, how things are approved in that regard. It's a rather comprehensive process. And then we look to advance to our working group session in 6 to 8 weeks.
The Bahamas ranks 84th in the world in the ease of starting a business. It's something that managing partner at Ernst & Young, Michelle Thompson, said needs to change as the country looks at growing its financial services sector. Speaking of the Bahamas Business Outlook, Thompson focused on where challenges lie for the sector and what can be done to foster growth.
The greatest challenge posed by regulation is the ability to adapt to the changes that this new level of increased transparency will bring to the industry. This will take collaboration between government and the private sector to make sure we remain competitive and innovative as we explore new markets and develop new product offerings.
However, she said this presents an opportunity for the country to review its immigration policies. This along with the focus of doing all that can be done to make it easier for high net worth individuals to migrate to the Bahamas, invest here, and support the financial services industry.
I think it's time that we stop viewing this industry as one that only benefits the select few, as the domino effect of having such individuals and their businesses in our country impacts all levels of our society in a very positive way. Countries, both large and small, are using immigration reform as a mechanism for growth. Case in point, the Canadian government offers citizenship to high net worth individuals who bring their wealth to the country and create jobs.
We're just a week shy of the second annual Arbitration and Investment Forum, which will see world-class presenters and timely discussions.
Organizer Dr. Peter Maynard said the sessions, which are broken down into 3 panel discussions, will focus on mediation as a complement to arbitration on our way to becoming an international and regional arbitration hub and arbitration in practice.
Is an excellent opportunity for Bahamians interested in every walk of life, but especially our professionals, whether they are accountants or engineers, whether they are labor conciliators in the Ministry of Labor or in unions, or to take a close look at this and to network with not only our local professionals, but also with some major first-class international professionals.
Now, Dr. Maynard, who is well versed in arbitration, along with other legal expertise, said the funds raised from the forum set for January 23rd have a special purpose.
The first time in the history of the College of the Bahamas, there will be a team going to an arbitration moot in Vienna, Austria, called the VIS moot, in April of this year. And the idea is whatever profit there may be as a result of this, that those proceeds may be considered to assist the students.
Coming up in Family Island News, the Prime Minister says the outlook is good for one of the country's smaller islands. Find out more coming up.
And then later in ZNS Total Sports, how much islands luck do pros have? Find out later. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. Good Tuesday evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings. United Airlines has applied to the Ministry of Aviation to operate a weekend service to Nassau from Chicago, Illinois. The flights will begin February 9th. The Nassau flight is one of 4 round-trip additions that go along with United's $40 million service improvements at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The airline currently has daily service between Nassau and Washington, D.C. TXO has called a general meeting to increase its investment in the Grand Bahama Group Limited and other investee companies. The meeting is set for January 28th and will consider resolutions to increase share authorities required to make such further investments. TXO has a 30.2% stake in the Grand Bahama Group, and the option to invest further expired December 31st last year. And in international business news, Cuba ended 2013 with a record number of arrivals of tourists, thanks to actions carried out by the Ministry of Tourism there to increase quality of competitiveness. Over 2,850,000 travelers arrived on Cuba, the highest figure reached so far, which allowed a 0.5% growth as compared to 2012. Important operations were carried out to increase direct flights from various parts of the world to Cuba, among them Canada, Germany, Italy, Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela, and Haiti. This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Altaviz Munnings.